Okay, so welcome everybody. This is the launch of AIPMO's book review library and our review system. This is an initiative we actually thought about for a number of years now, about how to actually get decent books or good books. When you buy a book and you see reviews, is actually a good book. And in fact, you can see behind the screen here, a book library and people actually scanning books, and that was made by ChatGPT on the AI side. But clearly, there's thousands of books. How do you get to the books that create the most value? And in the time when I was doing my research, I was in my PhD, and after subsequently from them, I often get questions about what do you recommend as a book for the PMO side or for project management? It's the same thing as when you ask about tools, what do you actually recommend? The thing that there's so many books out there, and you'll see this actually from the details, and they really vary, as a lot of things vary. So we wanted to do something about it, not just have a book that you have on your website, and you have no idea whether it's any good or not, or what's the details behind it, but actually more than that, to actually help you determine which is the best book for you. So we'll be hearing more about the individuals, their experiences. We'll interview the team as we go through. So this is the agenda. I'll talk a little bit about AIPMO after we've done the introductions, and then Henny's going to be doing the keynote. So actually the challenges he's had, and I have to say that I knew of Henny before we actually formally got introduced last year, and I know that all the work he's done, but I didn't know to the extent of the work. And in fact, what I just said about the challenges, he will actually reiterate from his own experience as well. We'll talk about the concept behind the initiative, and then we have Pia Moses from Van Haren Publishing. Is very kindly that they're working with us, and we also will be working with other publishers as well as we get books and then review the books and publish it. I want to explain about the 10-point review system, introducing the review team. In fact, I probably will do that. Maggie's the deputy. We actually have Jeffrey, who's the lead. Unfortunately, Jeffrey's got COVID and therefore is rather croaky. So he's actually with us now on this, but he will just listen as passive. And then we've got the comparison of Amazon versus AIPMO reviews. So Ehab, he will actually talk about that. And then we'll do a live demonstration. So Ruti will actually do the demonstration, how we actually include books, and then updates, how do you get notified, and then just general questions and answers for everybody. So on introductions, these are the main presenters. For myself, most of you know me, so I'm the founder of AIPMO, founded in 2015. And really our aim is to actually build, or our vision is to actually build PMO management into a profession. And there's a whole lot of information on what we're doing about that. If I can now ask Henny to introduce himself as the keynote. Yeah, you're on mute, Henny.
Yeah. I'm always saying I am that silly old and bold guy from the Netherlands with a passion for project, program, portfolio management, PMOs, and also a passion for books. I worked 37 years for ING. I created PMOs across the world. I set up a whole PMO model in Central and Eastern Europe. I did the same in Asia. 8 years ago, I started with a couple of friends my own company, and there we focus on giving training classes in all kind of methodologies and frameworks, many of them. My key focus at this moment is doing maturity assessments in all kinds of industries all over the world. And when there is time left, I use the time to write on my blog. I review books on my blog, and I will come back on that. And from time to time, I write my own books. So for now, enough.
Right. By the way, when Henny showed me his library behind, I actually thought it's actually bigger than the library we have in the village I live in with 5,000 people. He reads a lot, which is great. Mauritius?
Yes, thank you, everyone. Maurits van der Plas. I work for Van Haren Publishing, or Van Haren Group. We're a publisher for about 23 years now, I think. Got big with ITIL Prince 2, official publisher of, for example, IPMA and other vendors. Henny is a well-known author of us. and we're in the best practice industry for quite a few years. I'm here now 10 years with Van Haren, and did all the roles within the company except for publisher, I think. But sadly enough, I did pick up one or two trades of the industry. So happy to be here. Thank you.
And Moritz is actually trying to convince AIPMO to publish its books through his organization.
Yeah, definitely.
So he's getting slowly there.
Yeah, step by step.
Step by step.
I can recommend them, Maurits. So
Okay, thank you. Well, it's a good. So that's also the value of reviews, getting associated with other people, that it gives trust. So already we're going in the right direction here.
We had other publishers that actually wanted to join, but we just said no, we'll stick with one publisher, and we couldn't choose any others, but the one that Henny works with mainly. So there you go.
Thank you. Yeah.
Ritu, who's our chief editor.
Hi everyone, my name is Ritu Chandna and I'm based in Pune, India. I have been working with the AIPMO for more than 3 years now as senior editor, responsible for the content, including the training materials and the website. And yeah, in past I worked with Wiley, I worked with Lippincott Macmillan as an editor and a content manager. And I'm really excited to be part of this project. It's great to work with a team who is, full of experts, and I'm really looking forward to contributing and adding value to the team. Thank you.
You, Ritu. Yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Ihab Morgan, and I'm a director of consulting at PwC Middle East. I've been working for the past 20 years on doing project management, program management, and I've been working in the past, I would say, 7 to 8 years in establishing PMOs for different industries and across all over the world, in Australia, Germany, and now in the Middle East, in Saudi Arabia. And again, it's a pleasure to be here with these fine people and to be part of this great initiative.
Great, okay. I think Danileo is trying to actually come in as well, Ritu. I don't know if we can let him into the panelist side. So when he comes in, we'll actually introduce him as we progress. So we have a team. I'll actually ask the team later on we'll unmute them because it's a webinar, and they'll just give you 1 minute as the company they work for, the country, and then also why they're actually on the book review team, maybe sort of a short experience all in 1 minute. Danilo, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello.
Yes, hello there. Good morning.
Hi. How are you doing? Morning.
Yeah, good, thanks. We've just done the introductions for everybody. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Danilo Arba. I'm Italian, but working here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I have around 24 years of experience working, I would say half with general contractors and half as a PMO consultant or with major international companies. And I'm also pursuing a DBA PhD in application of artificial intelligence in PMOs. So yeah, that's very short one. And I've also participated in other organizations. And as a director, I was director of Region 9 of AAC International, which includes Europe and Africa, generally speaking.
Great, thank you. In fact, we have a number of PhD students that are on the team. They're actually flying, some are flying into Switzerland because they've got a course today, so they won't introduce themselves, but I'll actually introduce them on their behalf. Okay, so let's progress. So AIPMO, Association of International Project Management Officers. In fact, when we chose the name, it was actually years ago, making sure that the domains are free and everything. So we wanted to have the A for Association, I for International, and of course PMO in the acronym. The nice thing about A is that it rarely comes first in the list as well. So this is the building that we're actually registered and based in, and this is actually on the Lake of Zurich. We're actually in Canton Schwyz, which is one of the first 3 cantons that were formed over 800 and whatever it is years ago. In fact, we have the Swiss flag, so the Swiss Red Cross comes from our canton. And if you like tennis, we've got Roger Federer here, we've got Martina Hingis, we've got Belinda Bencic, so it seems to be a village of tennis players. I've actually sort of met Federer once. The others are like Martina Hingis. You often see famous people on the streets of Bahnhofstrasse in Zurich, but you don't talk to them. It's a bit rude, but you see a lot of very famous people around this particular area because it's rather nice to live. So this is where we are here, AIPMO. So this is the whole of Zurich area. It's a very nice place to live, very inspiring, which I really enjoy. I actually spent half my life in Switzerland and half in England, so I'm sort of a bit mixed up between whether I'm sort of English and Swiss. The vision of AIPMO, this is very important. So every organization needs a vision, and for us, it's about putting the profession or making a profession or helping to create a profession. But you've got to put the building blocks into place. There's a very nice PhD that was done by a gentleman that looked at like 30-odd factors of what constitutes a profession. And back in 2017 or 2016, we actually presented it and saying this is before and this is what we're trying to put these into place. But of course, creating a profession is something that takes years to go and do. Now, that's why do we actually exist? So this is the mission statement. So we talk a lot about the theory side. So theory, the research, we've got PhD students, we have our own doctorate program, we partnered with 2 organizations for that. And the idea is to look at not just PMOs working alone, but actually high-performing collaborative PMOs. And we're also going to talk about the maturity model launch, not today, but actually in April when we actually launch it. That's 5 years of research to get to that point. We've done some presentations already on that. How do we go and do it? It's really, as an engineer, I'm a chartered engineer. A lot of you are chartered engineers in the Middle East working on construction, is that you wouldn't build something unless you actually do the blueprints or the architectural design. And this is exactly what we go and do with all the books, and you'll see that a bit later. So we actually start with the frameworks, we model, and then we partner with people and organizations to then actually put these building blocks into place that then reinforces the vision statement up here to become a profession. So that's the idea. So the books, when we started, we were very quiet because what we don't want to do is talk about something we don't understand. And I know for myself personally, even though I've worked for years in projects, in fact, since the age of 7 on PMOs, so the experience that others have been reflecting, I have the same as well, is that do I really understand the parts to it? And I can honestly say that since 2015 to where I am today, is I know, and I think that people around us and get involved know a lot more now. And you'll actually hear that reflected by the people on the panel and also the other book members that have been on our courses or involved in other initiatives. So these are the 3 books that we've published. This was the cornerstone one, The Service and Capabilities. It took over 3 years to write. Very expensive book, very detailed. In fact, what we did was actually modeling how everything sort of fits together. So this is actually structured where they all integrate and reflect on the same sort of terminology and soft systems modeling. This one is actually the first one in the world that is actually, it's a principle-based, framework-based. It's about 600 pages. It actually includes how you design single but multiple PMOs. So very advanced and very challenging to go and write. And really it's just the time to complete it. So it's written, first reviews, and it's really just finishing it and then publishing it. There's other books as well. So this is really what we want to make sure is that the books that we create are of the highest quality, and that you can ensure that this is not something that's just Robert's opinion or Ehab's opinion or Mauritius, for example, it's actually done from solid fact, and we can actually back that up. So how do we actually go and do it? Is that we have frameworks. So this framework was developed in 2015, the first version, but it's evolved. Every year it's evolved. So for example, on culture, we added that. That's new because they had 2 students that actually finished or 3 students that finished their doctorate, published a paper, IPMA's research conference, and then we included that actually into it. So every piece is based actually on research. And then we test it. So here's like new research coming in from my advisory board. We don't have, if you really want to make sure you are good, you work with the best people. We have the top people that we believe in the world, and there's others that are not necessarily shown that are part of the advisory board and advise us. We have various frameworks. We then put them into the courses. We test it, we adapt it, and then we write the books. So this is the way you can be sure that the content you get, and you should see this in the reflection of the reviews. And by the way, I don't review any of these books. I don't even know the scores until they're published. So this is the reflection of when the books that come out, hopefully that they would actually achieve high scores because of the effort and the detail we put into it. Just very briefly on the certifications, we actually want to grow people into the career. So not only do they work from the team member to the manager, whether it's PMO or project, consultants, So we actually train the majority of the consulting organizations, and we have contracts with them, and other ones are actually in discussion. So this is actually looking at PMO target operating models, which includes the topology, the service topology, governance, and other things that go with it, and then up into then the doctorate program. So here we show Alamata. Originally, we were working with Swiss Business School, and some of the students are actually from Swiss Business School on our strategy, project leadership, and PMO management. But we actually want to do more research, and therefore really the PhD is important rather than the DBA. There's a difference between the two. And this feeds back into all the work. So it's like it's a cycle that goes around. It takes about 6 weeks for us to get from research into the book. So something that's the minimum. Normally it takes 8 years on average to get research in. It's just that because we're involved in the whole process, we know what's coming. We actually suggest the topics, and in a structured way, we can fill the gaps of knowledge. So then you're making sure that you're getting something that's solid and robust. So actually, this I thought was Henny's book library, but he tells me that his is bigger than this. So I shall now hand over to Henny. Henny.
Okay, can you give the next slide? Yeah, okay. I already talked about myself, my biography, so you can click through this. As I said, I worked for ING many years, etc. So if you give one more click, then you see, okay, that I wrote several books, and many of these books are recognized by Maurits because he is the publisher of several of these books. But those books are mostly, almost all, in Dutch. So that's not really helpful for our international public. But okay, give one more click. If I look at Amazon and click further, one click, then you see that at this moment, there are many books related to PMO. So at this moment, there are more than 800. If I go back a couple of years, then it's around 300. And if we project it in 2030, then I think there are 1,300, maybe more books about PMO or PMO related books. So it's overwhelming what we see there. If I look at the current situation, and then if I look at this moment, if I look at Amazon and then looking there, what kind of books are offered, then you could see that several books are in a language, in English, probably published or written by people from the States or people from England, and not that many books from people from other places around the world. If I look at the quality of these books, then I really struggle with okay, what is the quality of these books? So I think there are many books which are sold well, but those are related, and probably Maurits can agree on that, which are related to frameworks. And I also by myself wrote several books about Prince2, about Agile Project Management, Agile Program Management, those sorts of frameworks with certifications behind it. They are selling well. But if I now look at those books or looking at Amazon, what kind of books they are offering, I also see that there is an increase in books which are published by the people, by the authors, by themselves. And I think that's already a first indication of the quality of the book. Because if I write a lousy book and I go to Maurits, can you publish that one? And then he is looking at it and say, yeah, but that's not the right quality. So I'm not going to publish this book for you, because I think, okay, when we publish, we would also like to see that people start buying this book. So I think what I now see, that there is an increase in books which are self-published, and maybe it's even accelerated by the use of tools like ChatGPT. I already reviewed a couple of books which are 80 or 90% written by ChatGPT. And then I think, okay, is this the way to move forward? If we really look for quality, if we really look for the research behind it. So I still have my doubts if this is the way to move forward. Maybe one click further. If I look at my slides, okay, there was a little bit of animation behind that, but I have a library, as Robert was saying, okay, I think it's around 5,000 books, and they are not all related to PMO or to project management, portfolio management, etc. So looking at all these books, I think I wrote on my blog more than 300 reviews. And later on in this webinar, we are going to discuss about a 10-point system. And I thought by myself when I heard about the initiative, why didn't I do that by myself? Because I have 300 reviews. If you look at my blog, and I really like to share information, to share knowledge, and my reviews are a little bit different if I compare that with reviews at this moment on Amazon, just a 5-star system. So in for many books, I create a sort of summary of the book. And that brings me to the next slide here. If I look at all the books, and then in many cases, I receive books from publishers and from authors. Henny, can you review my book? Can you put a review on my blog? But that's an easy way. But on the other hand, looking at the work I'm doing performance and maturity assessments, I sometimes face a problem. And then I'm looking, okay, how can I solve that? So I would like to know, is there a book which can help me to solve that problem? Or someone is asking me, Henny, can you recommend a book because I'm following this study, and what kind of book can that be? Now, and then I can often refer to my blog. So have a look at my blog. But then the problem is I didn't collect data points on my blog. So if you want to go to my blog and find a book, you must know the title or you must know the author. And I didn't have data points related to the book. Okay, what's the quality? What is the something about the author? Okay, what is the information behind the references? What kind of references were used? What is the actuality of the book? Those sorts of things. Also, as I said, I'm a book lover. I would like to have a book in my hands. That makes my life easier. So I always struggle with ebooks. I know several publishers are focusing on the ebooks, but I still like to have a book in my hands, making notes on the side, and to understand really what is the book about. So I think another one is looking at the books. What's the language of the book? Okay, if someone is asking, if Robert is asking a book, Henny, can you give me a book about agile portfolio management? I can say, I have a fantastic book about agile portfolio management. But it's in Dutch. So that doesn't work. So I think when we look at worldwide situation, and when we look at PMOs across the world, and they would like to know, okay, what can help me? Then it's a pity. Okay, but we have to say, okay, we have to focus on books written in English. And that's what we are now focusing with this group. So just here to see, if you want to find a book, you can deep dive by yourself. And let's call it analysis paralysis. And to go deeper and deeper. And before you know, you are only examining, okay, what kind of book can I use? So I need something which can help me just in a glance. Okay, this is the type of book. And I think what we have created here with AIPMO is an environment where, maybe not now because, okay, we are just starting, so there are not that many books. We are not talking about hundreds of books yet. But when we have more books, I think we now have the data to give you a very fast answer if you would like to have a book from a certain quality. So if I can have the next slide. So looking at quality, I think this is a key item. And when I review books, I know by myself, I wrote several times to authors, here you use, for example, a concept of a minimum viable product. But what you do is you create a concept of a minimum marketable product. So the quality is not right. Moving a little bit closer to our situation, talking about PMOs. We just did a poll on LinkedIn and to ask people, okay, how many PMO types are there? Now, if I look at many books offered by PMI, Excellers, etc., and looking there for answers, then I see, okay, and the people who read those books give those answers that, okay, it are just a few PMOs. maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe a little bit more. But the right answer is there can be hundreds of types of PMO. So what does that mean for the quality of all those books? So if I want to read a book about PMO types, then I would have the right one. So that brings me, if I look at all these books and I ask the people, can I have a next slide of the next? Yes. And I ask the people, okay, so you bought a book. Maybe you read the review on Amazon. And now after reading the book, are you still satisfied? And then it's shocking what you see, that only 17% rarely see it as an issue. They are not disappointed, but more than 80% are disappointed or sometimes disappointed. So this is really shocking. And here we need something to help people to find the right books. And that's exactly what we want to achieve with this book initiative. And I think, yes.
That's it. Great. I appreciate it. Thanks very much for that, Henny. What's very nice is that when you talk to different people, whether it's the publishers, experts like Henny, yourselves, that there's a consistent message that comes behind it. Is it something that actually needs to be done? And I mentioned from the very beginning that I always struggle actually in recommending books because there's always a bias to it. I have a set standard. Others may have different standards, may have different biases. And what we want to try to do is that we actually want to put a concept to make sure that we try to get rid of bias or mitigate it. And so we'll actually describe now the actual concept behind this this initiative. So if you're going to do something, you actually want to base it against the framework, whether it's one you create yourself or whether you exist. So we wanted to use the Bloom's taxonomy of learning, so cognitive domain. So here we have on a course that you may go, you may start to remember some things, you may understand it, which is good, you start to apply it. You really want to get to this top level where you're actually creating knowledge. So that's really important. So whatever you learn, whether it's in a book, a course, or talking to people, is you want to be able to apply it. In our case, it's about books. So how can these be considered when we actually want to select a book? So what we did is we took the different levels and then we said, okay, at this level, creating, in fact, we'll start at the bottom, remembering, okay, interpret the summaries, look at the cover, compare the themes of the book, and then we sort of start looking at the different points all the way up to this creating site. So it seemed, okay, we can use the Bloom's taxonomy as a way to help guide us create this review system, because we're based it on something that's been proven now since, I think, 1956, and probably the framework's evolved in some way, but the fundamentals are still the same. So what we did then is actually use this framework, and then we actually made sure that we created a system that's actually MISI. It means that there's no gaps and overlaps between the different categories. And we actually have these 10 points down here. So for example, in physical and aesthetic quality, the presence of the book. And often people look at the title, the quality, if it's actually a physical book, or if you use the Amazon Kindle or the EPUB version, is what does it look like? And what are the things they have in there? And all of us have bought books, of course, because we review sometimes the physical book, or we're reviewing the actual the Kindle version or the EPUB version. Is that if the thing is hard to use, the graphics are hard to read, it doesn't allow us to move around, that really sort of distracts from the learning ability. So this is an important part. Do we like what we've got? Is it actually easy to read and understand? And then you can sort of work your way down other ones until the point where you say value for money. What do we get out of this? Can we actually apply this thing, for example? So we've covered all of these factors in these different levels. I will come more about onto this particular skill and the application of it after we hear from Moritz on the Van Heron group. So I can hand over to our publisher.
Yeah, thank you very much, Robert, and also thank you, Henny, for your talk. It was really nice and engaging. So we're indeed a publisher for over 20 years now. As I said in the introduction, we do much more now. So it's not a Van Heron group, because we also make learning products. We do certification. So you see that all big publishing houses are broadening their perspective from just publishing to distribute IP and knowledge over various ways. I won't go too much in depth into that, but more about the subject of this webinar. So a lot of people, sometimes we get manuscripts and a potential author says, can you please print this? And then we at this office, we're all, as we say in Dutch, on the closet. We're all annoyed because they're thinking that we're just a printer. So if you want to print your book, go to the copy shop. But what a publisher does, so what does a publisher do, which many people don't know, is that we look at a product, we see if what is said is true in our perspective, we look if it's marketable, and that's very short in a nutshell what we do. So we have this ChatGPT, which is called the publisher, and this is a man. In our case, it's a man that has been our publisher for the last 14 years, which can tell you in every single book what it said for the last 14 years. And when you say something that is not true, he will tell you that's not true, because back then, 7 years ago, we looked it up. We had these books that said it's not true, and this is the case, and that's why, and that's how. So, and sometimes there gives a lot of debates and discussions about one single definition. So that's what a publisher does. Look what is true, what is correct, what is knowledge. And I think this initiative is really nice, because I think what you see, not only about books, but in the broader media, there's a lot of overload in information nowadays. And we need to filter that information from data. You get information, and there's so much data, and we don't manage to get quality data into information because there's just so much. And this initiative could really help to crack that challenge, to see, okay, what is right, what is wrong. Because indeed, currently how it works with Amazon as such, and that's the commercial trigger, volume is defined as quality. If a product sells a lot, the algorithms of Amazon will put it on top. It will spurs the review sessions to give more reviews, to give it a better product placement, and therefore you buy it. But sales does not equal quality, sadly enough. It may seem like that, and for some people it is, but it is not. Sometimes it can be a very marketable term. It can be a nice cover, but don't judge the book on its cover. So I think that this initiative is a very nice one. So if we can go to the next slide.
Just a question: how many of the of the manuscripts you get do you actually accept in a percentage?
So there's also how many do we accept? I think we accept 1 on 10, 10%. And I think from the initiatives that we get, only about 30% makes it to the printer.
Okay.
So
very small percentage.
Yeah, exactly. And that also makes us a bit, I don't want to say negative, but maybe skeptical. So every author puts a lot of effort and energy in their book, of course, which we need to respect, and we do, and we really appreciate our authors. But that quality review session is really thorough. It's really, I want to say, hard. It's really, if you put your soul into it, you've written something for over a year and you send it to the publisher and he says, no, that's wrong. We'll try not to say it in this manner. But that's a shocking reality. But that's basically what we do. Indeed, going into, I defined a few subsets of the value and the purpose of why you should conduct a review and what it brings to you and to organizations. So the first is, why do you do reviews? It's for quality assurance. It's basically filtering what is a book about, but also what is your need. What are you looking for, and what is the publication that you would like to have and understand. And by doing a bit of research, by reviewing the content, looking at the look inside, you can discover if this might be what you're looking for. Then basically the next step, which you would go into, is more of a critical engagement. Okay, so is this indeed what you're looking for? And is it a deeper understanding of what the publication is and what you're looking for? Does this, the level of knowledge in the book, does that match your level of knowledge? What you said, Robert, before is like, okay, my perspective of my biases are different from the people that I might give a recommendation. Indeed, what is your level and what is the level of the book? And does it contain the answers that you're looking for? It also spurs dialogue and debate, because you need that dialogue and debate. Because I say that we're looking to define what is true, but often it's not sure what is true. As Henny said before, there's 11 roles in PMO defined, but there's over 100 names in public outburst and online. Does that mean that either of them is correct? Is 100 correct, or is 11 correct, or is 40 correct? There's not one defined answer. That's something you need to figure out by debate and understand and agree with each other. Okay, what is correct? What do we think is correct? Because it's not just 11 or 100 which is the correct answer. You need to agree. You need to agree together on what we perceive as true in this case, and that's why you need to do critical engagement to figure that out. Then authors and publishers. Okay, so this is a bit of self-enrichment, but also for me as a reader, I often read books from certain types of authors because I know, okay, I like this author. It fits my pattern. It fits with what I appreciate in a book. And also for publishers, renowned publishers, O'Reilly, for example. If you see a book from O'Reilly, you know, okay, what's in there? That's quality. They put a lot of effort into it. You know, there's a quality organization behind it. They do thorough research. They have proper publishers on a publication. So that gives a, how should I say, it gives you assurance that the book that you're buying is correct or is true in what it says. So the value, and I think that's the value of publishers, is that it gives a value with the publication. And indeed, Henny said it. I'm glad that Henny said that self-publishing is a risk, because from my mouth it sounds a little bit like I'm trying to protect my own industry. But it is true that there's no check or filter on self-publishing. And of course, there can be books being self-published that are tremendous and better than the books that we publish, but there's nobody that's checking it. And again, if they do manage to get a critical mass and being sold on a higher volume, there's still no quality check. They're just being sold, and therefore the algorithm will make it being sold more often. And there's even a incentive for Amazon to sell those books more because they make a higher margin on self-published books. So will they sell more because it's a higher quality, or will they sell more because they gain more? Well, you can answer the question yourself, I think. And then indeed, authors. If Henny comes to us with a book and says, okay, Van Haren, I created this book, we as a publisher already know, okay, Henny is a renowned author, is well known in the industry. This also definitely helps. We know that what's in here is correct and it's quality, and it doesn't mean that we'll blindly print it, but it does definitely help in the process of ensuring that the book is of quality, and also manage to well, at the end, we're also a commercial organization, manage to sell, because to commercialize a book, the quality insights need to be correct, but just a quality manual doesn't mean, again, that it sells. It also needs to affect the audience. So the combination of those two are important. We'll speed up a bit because I can talk for hours on the subjects. Indeed, social and cultural impact. This initiative will also help others, and I think that's very valuable. And if you provide reviews for other people, that also helps others to find the correct books and help us all out. And of course, what we saw before about the Bloom level, it also helps you by critically reviewing or doing a review in your learning process. So I think I rounded up there so that I don't delay the webinar.
That's very interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just a couple of points is that when you do, I review for academic journals, their acceptance is typically 5%, but then you've got minor reviews and major reviews. So it's not, as you say, it's the starting point. So the 5%,
yeah.
They don't get past the major reviews and they get kicked out. And the other one is the poll that we did that Henny presented. It showed you 83% of the people are not happy with the highest rated Amazon rankings, which exactly reinforces the point you said for that. So again, the comments, the reviews, the statistics actually all point for the need of a system that we actually created. And this is actually the approach that we've covered. So these are actually on the website. I won't actually talk through them, but you can actually see the actual descriptions. We're actually improving, so please don't beat us up. We are actually going on Friday to review, to improve the whole process as we refine it. Also, one of the things that we will do, which we actually spoke to other groups, is that we will re-rate a book because certain criteria, such as originality, it may be original back 20 years ago, but it's not necessarily original now. Or, for example, readability, or looking at value for money. A lot of these will actually age over time. So if there's a book that comes out that's a similar scope and it's a much better book, then we will actually re-rate the previous book as well. And we're not planning to do it that often, but there is an option for that. So these are the 10 points of review. It actually maps across these different levels here, as well as across going off the whole scale. So we've really thought very carefully about how to do it. So if anybody sort of questions, we can always go back, as you do with research on a golden thread, to explain where this thing has actually come from and how we've actually done it. If you look at examples, so this is one of the books we've actually reviewed from Peter. He's done a book on AI and project management. So we actually have the 10-point review system. These are the summary points. Each one you click on the website, you'll see the overall ranking here, and then you see the 10-point system. What you will see is that the more detail we went into, the more challenges that we saw. And this is interesting because we had a 5-point system and a 10-point system. As I say, with the 5-point system, we looked at less points, but as we looked into more detail for each one, we saw where the gaps are. And that's why it's very rare you're going to get any book that actually goes into the scale, which is, for example, great over here, 9 to 10. Most of them will sort of fit into the good range over here. As I say, this is something that we'll talk more about in how we actually do this approach. So this is the key aspects we have in the review. So when we're looking at the general scoring, we put comments about each one. The slide that Henny presented in the 2017 research on PMO books, this was actually something that I did when we were looking at books, always do an environmental scan, seeing what's out there. In fact, the top books were the tier 1 publisher books. So the ones that are self-published were really very low. And I know, having one of my books by a tier 1 publisher, it took 6 months of edits to go through to get it to the standard. And really, the editors are amazing. So my hats off to them. So I fully understand the importance of that, and actually the result that comes out as well. So now I'd like to actually introduce the book review team. I actually would ask them if they could put up their hand, and then we'll actually unmute them. So maybe we'll just do it. Okay, we'll just do it, and we'll introduce each one from the attendee side. So Maggie is the deputy book lead. Michael, or Jeffrey, is actually the lead, but he's got COVID, so he's actually with us. Actually, in fact, before you speak, Maggie, Jeffrey I've known now for several years, 5 or 6 years. He's been a great supporter of the AIPMO. He's actually attended conferences. He's been on our sessions. He supports some various initiatives, and he's instrumental in actually making sure the book team got where it did from the start of the project to where we are now. So I want to thank Jeffrey very much, and also that we look forward to his continued support on that role. Maggie's the deputy, so she's actually supporting now. And if I can hand over to Maggie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi there. Yes, good to speak to everyone. So I'm Maggie McGeary. I'm based in Scotland in the UK. I have completed the AIPMO expert certification through AIPMO previously, and got involved last year in reviewing some of the AIPMO publications, initially just as a peer reviewer, as part of that pre-publication process, and got very interested in that. I've always been a fan of books, as Henny was describing, he was as well. My original education started in English literature and language, so I was studying creative writing and the written word before I got into business. So I've been setting up PMOs for over 20 years, and currently working with Shell as assurance lead for the IT portfolio across the global portfolio in Shell. So it's been a great initiative to get involved in. We've got a very interesting and diverse team across multiple industries and international team. So just very pleased to be involved and supporting with this initiative.
Great, thank you for that. I'm next going to put Ali. Would you like to talk? If Ali's there. So just unmute yourself. So really just a name, country, or position, and then your motivation actually for being on the actual core team. Maybe I'll put Venka on next. Maybe Ali. Venka, do you want to talk?
Yep. Can you hear me?
We can, yeah.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Myself, Venkat. I did my PMO certifications with the AIPMO, and I got more interested because it's my day of work. I do program management, and I'm in the IT and banking industry. So when this exercise came up, so I signed up for it, and then I find more useful of seeing it like which book and which concepts we read through the books is more applicable, and I'm actually contributing in the book review team, and I hope we will be able to do review and then submit more reviews for the books, and then that's all for me.
Great, thank you for that, Venka. Ali, I'll unmute you. I think Ali's from France. Ali, are you there? Okay, is it anybody else with a hand up? Let's have a look. Jeffrey is ill. Actually, I'll quickly introduce everybody. Maybe that's the best way. So, anyway, Arthur is actually a gentleman that I've been working with now for a number of years. We met at NEOM, actually, in all the standards, so about methodologies and everything on the biggest construction project in the world. Arthur's actually working with me full time on developing the principle-based maturity model that we spent 5 years on research, which will actually be launched next month. Amadou is actually in France. I don't actually know the company he works at because I think he's not talking. So he's actually done lots of reviews, very senior person. As you may notice, the majority of people actually been on our courses. The courses, there's no sales pitch, but the courses we have include all the research that gets into a level of understanding of a benchmark where they can review others. The problem, if you don't actually have a certain level, then it's hard to review books to know whether they are of the top standard or not. Gunnar is ABB in Germany, so he's a key reviewer for us, so much appreciated, Gunnar, for that. And then, so I think Ali's in KSA. Wesley's actually in Canada. He's our doctorate student, or one of the doctorate students. He's now actually in Switzerland, just flew in yesterday, or he's on transit as he's flying across. And then Ahab, we talked already. Maggie's already spoken. Venka said something. Danileo, do you want to introduce yourself, Danileo?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Danilo. I'm currently based in KSA, working with Mace Group, UK firm, as a PMO director for the Riyadh 2 program here in Saudi, and have around just over 20 years of experience, most of them in PMOs and project management. So an Italian by passport.
Thank you for that. And then Mobin, so I've known Mobin for several years now. He's been on the consulting frameworks and all the courses. He also is based in Riyadh as well. So these are the countries that people have actually come from. Can somebody go on mute? That's all right, that's Venka, okay. So now I'd like to hand over to Ihab, who's actually going to look at the differences between Amazon and AIPMO reviews. Ihab?
Thanks, Robert. Yeah, so basically here I'm going to talk about why the AIPMO review system can deliver much more value than that of Amazon's. So basically most of us have been in the situation where, as Henny mentioned, we go to Amazon, log into Amazon, we check a book and we read the reviews. most of them are positive. We get very excited, we purchase the book, and then we end up in disappointment. And this is also in alignment with the poll that we carried out early March, where, as Hani mentioned also as well, around 83% of the participants, they felt occasionally or frequently disappointed in a book despite the positive reviews. And that's why we wanted to make sure that our review system does not fall short on some of the critical factors where Amazon reviews, where the Amazon's 5-star rating review system falls short on. And just to talk about a few, for example, all of the reviewers are experts and subject matter experts in the fields of PPM and PMO management. All of us have hands-on experience. We've delivered consulting engagements to the top firms on how to establish PMOs, SMOs, and transformation management offices. We also have experience in actually conducting a professional and unbiased reviews. And this is not usually the case with the Amazon reviewers, where most of them are just normal people. They might not have the experience, the practical experience, and definitely most of them don't have the professional writing experience as well. Another factor is our review system provides a comprehensive coverage of the book. And as Dr. Robert mentioned, we have 10 different crucial aspects that cover all the dimensions or all the aspects of a book, like the physical appearance, the readability, the originality of the ideas, etc. And again, this is not usually the case with the Amazon reviews. We follow a very consistent approach. We have a documented approach. We have clear steps on what needs to be done. Where should we document the reviews? Who does what? We have clear roles and responsibilities. We also follow a very strict, I would call it QA governance protocol. And just one example of those is each book has to be reviewed by at least 3 independent reviewers. And this shows how we are very careful about and how strict are we with the QA governance protocol that we follow. Also, we try to make sure that we provide a very unbiased evaluation, basically on the book's merits and demerits. This is not, again, usually the case with Amazon, where sometimes the reviewers are maybe friends of the author, or maybe they work in the same company, for example, or they are motivated or encouraged by some incentives or promotions, some maybe from the from anyone, or maybe from the publisher. We never know, and this is not the case with our reviews. And also our criteria, the 10 aspects that we cover, are transparent, as Dr. Robert mentioned earlier. They are very well documented. We have a clear scoring system. We have a clear description of all these criteria. And also when we start looking at the demo in the next couple of slides, and you will see that the system shows all these criteria. And that's why we believe that our system, the 10-point review system, can deliver much more value over the Amazon's 5-star rating system.
Great, thank you for that, Ihab. So now I'd like to hand over to Ritu, who will actually demo the system. So I will.
So I'll share my screen now, Robert.
Yeah, please do. I'll stop sharing.
Okay, so I think you can see my screen.
Yes, we can, yeah.
Okay, so you will find the book library on the home page under the Explore menu. This is the main page, and we have 5 more pages under it. I'll quickly go through all the pages. Robert has already discussed about the categories and how we do this review. So this is more about how the system works. So this is the first page, the landing page of the book library. It gives a brief introduction on what we are doing, why we are doing. There are links to other pages as well. How we craft our reviews. This is the message from the book review team lead. And as you come down, you can see links to more pages and basically a preview of what the other pages have. We have 6 reviews right now, 6 full reviews, but the main page will show only the latest 3 reviews. And there is a link for the authors to contact us if they want their book to be featured. They can fill up the form and they can contact us, and we will get in touch with them. This is the AIPMO bookstore. I will talk in detail about it when I show you that page. So let me go to the second page. The book review approach page talks in detail about how we are crafting our reviews. Robert has talked about the 10 principles that the book review team follows, and this gives you details of what the principles are. And this is a description of the 10-point scale. You can click on each category and see what exactly each category stands for. So we are quite transparent, and you can get an idea about what each category talks about. And this is a preview of the chart that we are using. And again, you have links to the full reviews and bookstore, which I will access from here. 10-point book reviews. Right now, we have 6 full reviews. You can click on each book and go to the review. So let me just open this one. This page will have details of the publisher, basically the information that you can find on Amazon also, but this gives you a quick look at what the book is all about, what's the format, the book size, etc. You can see the rating here. It's a very clear and descriptive chart, and you can easily see what the rating is. So this book is rated 7.5 by the team of AIPMO reviewers. This is about the book. This is the AIPMO review in detail and the rating also. And if I come down, you can see the chart here. If you just hover around it, you can see the score for each and every category here. And I click here, I can see design quality, relevance, and you have to click on each category to read what the book reviewers have mentioned, what the review is exactly. And then we have links to buy the books from Amazon. This is the bookstore page. The difference between the 10-point review page and the bookstore is that the bookstore will have the 10-point review books and also other books which do not have full review right now. But as we do more reviews, we will keep adding more reviews to the books. And if you hover around this book has a full review, so you can click on it and go to the review directly. This book doesn't have a full review yet, but it has a link to buy from Amazon, so you can quickly see the Amazon link from here. Right now, the books are classified into 5 categories. You can see there's PMO, leadership, methodology, governance, and strategy. And we will keep working on this. As of today, there are 100 books with Amazon link and 6 books with live review. 10-point full review. Robert has already spoken about the team, the expert team that is involved in book review. We have 12 expert team members who are contributing to book reviewers, and they're all experts in their fields. And you can, if you want to know more about them, you can click on the links. These are links to LinkedIn, ResearchGate. And for example, Henny has a personal website, so there's a link to his website. And if you click on the picture, you can see in detail about the detailed CV of the reviewer. This is again a very important page as far as legal legal things are concerned, because we don't want to upset the Amazon. Amazon has very strict guidelines about what we should have on our website and have an Amazon affiliate disclaimer. And it also has a book review disclaimer. And if you want to see what are the guidelines for book reviewers, again, a synopsis, a summary of the principles and how the book reviewers are selected. and other legal considerations and ethics statement, this is the page to look at. So that's it from me, Robert.
Great, okay, thanks, Ritu. We realize that by doing this review system, we're most probably it will sell less books than if we don't actually do it at all. We're not planning to promote any books, and we're not going to get sponsorship. Everything we have, we've got principles like transparency, accountability, fairness, for example. One of the problems that we've had in AIPMO is that our peers have not included our books. We've asked for it many times, talked to them personally. There's always some reason why it wasn't included. And so we will actually have all the books. It doesn't matter where they're from. All the books in the sense that if it's a book that is considered good, we will actually spend the time reviewing, and that's how we actually prioritize, but they'll still be on our website. So we're not going to bias, or we're not going to prejudice any book at all in the presence of our website. So let me now go back onto the slides. So thank you, Ritu, for the detailed presentation. So the website is live. We've included the link so you can actually see it for yourself. The next section now is looking at the inclusion, so library inclusion review process and governance. I'm aware that it's 4 minutes past 10 o'clock, so it's only going to be another 10 minutes, I guess, before we should actually finish this. Richard, did you want to discuss this process for the identification, just to go over high level, or would you like me to cover that off?
Okay, I can do that. So do you want me to share the Google Sheet, Robert, or can I just talk here?
Oh, just talk here.
Okay.
I mean, really, it's just a high-level overview of the steps
yes,
that we've gone through.
So we have a Google Sheet which can be accessed by all the reviewers, and that Google Sheet has a master record or master data for all the books that we are going to review. So it took us some time to actually enter everything, and we are still I would say improving the process. As we are learning, we have weekly meetings on Friday, and it has been over 6 to 8 weeks that we are working on the sheet and as a team. But every week we bring in more improvement based on the feedback from everybody, and to improve the process and to improve what we are doing. So
just the high-level process says, I mean,
okay, sure. Yeah. Okay. So as of now, we have selected a few books. Henny, as he's an expert, he has made a note of the priority books. And if we don't have the books, the idea is to contact the author and publisher and to send the book to the reviewers, and it will be reviewed by that particular reviewer. We have 2 rounds of review, and plus another one where Robert looks at the feedback. The first reviewer does his review and gives it to the QA, and the QA reviewer adds in what is missing, what is missed, and then Robert consolidates everything. And then I take over, put everything in the website, and I make sure that all the links and everything is working. And once the book is published, we'll make sure that we let everybody know. There'll be a marketing, we'll post on LinkedIn and let you all know.
Great. Just for clarification, actually, I'm not on the book review team, so I'm just supporting the process to make sure it all works. And then the whole lot is independent. It's an independent team. They have the governance, and then they will actually do that 3rd round. So it's just really purely supporting the initial period now as my role. So we talked about the actual Excel spreadsheet. Just to give you an idea, it's actually a lot of detail that we go in. It takes between 20 to 30 hours of doing a review for a book. For a research paper, it's probably similar as well. And if I get a research paper or manuscript to actually review, I need to really get into depth, because every author spent a lot of time on his paper or his manuscript, whether it's for a book or for a journal. So we want to make sure that we assign the right people. And as I say, we have this approach where we have the first reviewer, then we have the QA reviewer, and then we have the integration. So you can see the criteria, the description, the first reviewer comments, the scoring, the second, and then the actual consolidation. So I've been supporting in that process, but I actually give it to the back and say, okay, now this is the consolidated view, and then they sign off both the main reviewer and then this one. So I'm just supporting for this moment. And then it sort of continues. We have configuration control, of course, then it continues with the other steps. Danilo, do you want to talk through now for the different slides? So this is Alistair, so you can actually see it here, the actual team. You're on mute at the moment.
Or like that. So yeah, as you were saying, we have a strong governance for the book reviews, which is always good. We have two very expert professionals leading the team, and a team of us reviewing each of one of them. We've seen what are the criteria for the book reviews, so we're not going to go in details, but that's a key part, that we have a strong governance to manage this process.
And there's also as well the manual Jeffrey put together is very kindly the actual reviewer manual. And as we go through improving the iterations of actually the criteria descriptions, then the manuals are updated. And then as we bring people in, I would expect or hope that people would be on the review team for a year. And then as others request, or if people have got work commitments or other commitments, then we'll actually bring people in. And I don't know
Robert,
about just... Yeah.
I would just like to add one more point which I missed. If anybody is interested in being part of the review team, you can find the link on the CV page that I just showed. On the bottom, there is a send interest form, and you can fill up the form, and we'll get in touch with you.
And in fact, actually, Jeffrey and Maggie will then actually determine, I mean, there's a slot, and then making sure your background, you're in a position to review books. It's not an easy thing to go and do. And I think probably all the reviewers will actually confirm that you have to really improve your knowledge of understanding of the concepts that, for example, Axelos have, or now it's PeopleCert and PMI and all the other ones, to be able to show the different perspectives and actually come with an all-rounded review of the different criteria for each one.
So as you were saying, we have a selection criteria for all the reviewers, which is managed by our leadership team. These are the different points that we're looking for. If you want me, I can go in the details.
No, it's okay. We actually cover these points down here,
exactly.
But it's really to show we want experts in the group, but it's all a learning for everybody. Like any team that comes together, they go through the various stages of actually working as a team, but also in the approach and how we're doing it. So thank you for that. So actually updates and notifications. So how do you actually know a book's being reviewed? Well, you can go on the site, but it's nice to have information pushed to you. So we'll actually have the notification, so the community or AIPMO or the other ones. It's quite likely that when we do the review that we would actually have maybe a webinar or a session where we talk about the book. So I know that other organizations, they want to talk about books. In this case is that we've got the detailed reviews. The reviewers could come to that and actually talk about the review, the feedback from others, etc. So that's the idea, is that you'll notify it. We have already put 9 other books, I think, reviewed, and the idea is that in at least the next couple of months, we should be actually publishing 1 review per week, and that's the plan. And then we need to then see how well we get doing it, as well as the team and their availability. But the idea is that we would have probably about 200 books, something like this, within the next 12 months, actually reviewed. Okay, so that finishes it off. I'd like to open this thing up now to sort of questions for anybody from the audience that's listening in. Are there any questions that people have? So we have Ali, you got your hand up? No, you're taking your hand down now. She's got his hand up, so let's can we allow to speak? Ali, can you speak? Ali, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, Robert. Would you like me to introduce myself or to ask a question? I have.
Yeah, it's really just questions at this point. We're sort of closing up on it. I mean, you're part of the team. I mean, it would be good to actually understand, is that what have you learned in the process in being part of the review team? Just a short one. And then if there are any other questions from others as well, put your hands up.
Yes, actually, it was an outstanding experience for me because I have been through many times that I have bought books and start reading them. And really, after certain pages, I throw out the book and did not proceed with that. So I believe when this initiative has been introduced to me, I found it is very outstanding and very beneficial. I will get an added value from it because really when you are trying to buy a book and to pay for it, you have to get the value from that. So this initiative has added a lot of experience to me, and the value is how to evaluate the book and how to evaluate the thing that you have to pay for it, to find the good book for that. Thank you very much, Doctor, for this initiative.
Great, thank you as well. We've got Mobeen. So Mobeen's part of the book review team. You're on mute.
Thank you, Robert, and thank you, team, for a very meaningful and wonderful presentation. As part of the team, what I've seen is that it's providing the exercise that we're doing quite comprehensive. We have experts in the panel, and it provides a very meaningful insightful analysis. It's not easy to balance the objectivity and subjectivity of a book which is available and which authors have reviewed, have churned out, and we could see that there were known project management practitioners who have written books and we have reviewed. They don't come up exactly as what the review is being shown on the internet. So what is more important is that the exercise that we are doing, it helps us to understand and balance the objectivity and subjectivity, which will enable of the reader an early and easy understanding of the book's strengths, weakness, and overall appeal. Is it the same exactly as showcased on the internet, and what is the weakness and strengths? So we really are careful in our 10-point score, makes it very, very viable and very easy for the reader when he or she sees the book review and the scoring. It talks about very deep ingrained objectivity, subjectivity, and the thorough analysis we have done on the book. And that's I'm glad to be part of the team, and really it's a very bright learning experience down the line.
Right, thanks,
Thank you, Robert.
Actually, just picking up a point from Moritz when he said about, is the name the same as or on the cover in the book? There's one of the books that I reviewed as part of the QA side. In fact, what was in the content actually wasn't in the cover. I won't say which book it is, and we actually describe it in there. So just basic things, and it actually had a very high Amazon rating. So I actually learned a lot myself in the whole process. They're not just reviewing the academic papers I do typically, but actually reviewing practitioner books in depth to this 10-point system. So it's really been quite an eye-opener for me as well. Anybody else that would like to talk or comment, feedback from anybody? Basrat?
Yeah, Robert.
Put your hand up still. You put your hand down. Far away.
Yeah, okay. Yep. Thank you, Robert. It was quite engaging session. Okay. Good to know these aspects. I was not aware of them. My question is, when we nominate a book for review, do you charge something for that review, and how the book gets added to your library?
Yeah. So we've actually got a list of books as priority 1, priority 2, because we're not going to review all of them. It's just not worth the time, because probably the results are going to come out as predictable, and the author probably won't like our results. They may even know it themselves. So what you can actually do is actually put a request in for review on a particular book, and it may already be as a priority 1 or priority 2, and then we would then look at determining reviewing it. Do we charge? No, we don't. We don't charge at all. So it's all volunteer time. As I mentioned, each book takes 20 to 30 hours, the whole process. It's part of AIPMO's remit in the sense of making sure that we understand and we disseminate knowledge. And we're very lucky to have this team that's part of it and dedicating their time and weekends and evenings to do it. So just request it. I think there may be a request online for that, or you can actually just write in publishing@aipmo.org. Ruti will probably pick that up, and then it will then determine whether it fits in. If it doesn't, we'll give you feedback for that. If an author wants their book reviewed, we normally do is we won't pay for the books ourselves. We ask them to send. So, for example, AIPMO books we've sent to various people, author copies for reviewers. In fact, in the past, Henny actually reviewed the Sales and Capabilities book, so we sent him a copy. He did the review, and then that's basically how it works. Did I answer your question? Okay, is that okay, Basrat?
Yeah.
Right. Perhaps I can put Henny on. You want to?
Yeah. Looking at this group, so you are never too old to learn. And if I look at myself after reviewing many books, it's also that I am biased. Looking at certain authors, okay, and now having a team behind this will help me also to move a little bit away from this bias. And also looking at my own country where I'm coming from, I can sometimes be a little bit blunt. And having a team behind it, okay, that makes the quality of a review much better. So that's why I think it's really good looking at your whole process. You explained that we are not looking as a single individual at a book review. No, there is now a process, a team behind it, and that improves the quality.
Yeah, and we're very lucky in the team to have Henny, who's actually leveraging all the work he's done and actually kickstarting the review system as well. So thank you for that, bridging the two sides. Or it's you got a question?
Yeah, thank you. And indeed, Henny says, being blunt. So in the Netherlands, we call ourselves direct, which basically means we're very blunt. It's a cultural thing. Sadly enough, we try to do it moderate, but we don't always manage. I think compliments also to this initiative, because I think a lot of work goes into it. I wish such a thing would also be done for media, but okay, that's a different talk or webinar initiative. But really impressive what you're picking up. It's quite some effort that will go into it. Definitely, to answer the question or relate to the question, is it paid? It's a sensible question, because all these hours that go into it, it makes sense that you would pay for such a service. So compliments for setting that up. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, with the books, I mean, a 20-hour investment, you think if you help people with the structure, they're going to buy the books anyway, or read the books, because everybody is an avid book reader. So therefore, let's just combine the time of reading in a structured approach. And in the Excel spreadsheet that we use for the book review team, we also have a sheet for comments, so they write all the comments through. And doing a critical review, you see far more into a book than if you're just a casual reader. So it is an investment, but I think everybody, including myself, I learn about the authors, their thinking, and are they trying to mix in the philosophy of PMI, for example, with Axelis? Are they trying to sort of bring the two together? Are they considered in the terminology? All these things. And that's very good for your understanding, especially when you want to communicate and actually apply it at work as well.
Yeah. Nice.
For that, other questions? Mobeen, you got other questions? Your hand is still up.
Okay, yes, we and the expert panel, we come of diverse industry verticals. That's again a very good oversight mechanism that we already have. We have Henny, we have Maggie, and Jeffrey Dawson. They have been there for quite some time, and they are industry experts. And the panel comes from different industry verticals. I myself come from IT services and consultancy vertical. There is a lot of scope in our area. It's wanting that, because of the continuous disruption, technological complexities, this kind of forum is very important, because you would always see a different dynamics in terms of project management, PMO in IT services and consulting. It's always faster time to market. So over a period of time, we might be able to come up with some initiative for this industry vertical and have fit for purpose, methodologies or frameworks available. I have worked with Robert. I was the first student of his framework engagement back in Dubai during mid 2000s, and I used the framework to my framework development for a very large bank in Riyadh, and it has been appreciated well by all the stakeholders in the program sponsors. Some of them are ex Deloitte and PwC. They really appreciated the way I helped them create the framework, and that was all because of what I learned from AIPMO framework development process. Thank you, Robert.
Thanks, Nobin. I mean, the thing is you want to make sure that what you learn, you can actually reuse the impact. And I think that's the top part of the Bloom's framework. So that's a good example of the application. And I didn't pay him to go and say that as well. I know time's moving on, so if there's one more question, otherwise I'd like to call to close for the launch of the book system, book library and review system. Is there one last question from anybody? Okay, so thanks everybody. Thank you for the panel. Thank you, Moritz, for joining, and Henny for the insightful view and the keynote. Much appreciated. We've got a lot of work to do in the review team, so this is just the starting and not the ending point. So we've got 6 published, and we want to get to 200 by the end of the year. As I say, if people do see books coming out, do let us know. Ritu, is there like a request that we have? Is it publishing at AIPMO.org, or is there like a link they can click on to request?
Yes, it's on the home page, Robert. I showed it while I was doing the demo.
Okay. So then just check it, and then you can always contact us if you want a book to be reviewed. Won't guarantee it, but it's good to actually give us the feedback, and then we'll put it into the review process. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody, and have a great day. Have a nice weekend as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.